Alex leaned against the doorway like he owned it. Shirt wrinkled, one sock on, the other foot bare on the hardwood floor I had installed myself. He didn't look at me when he said it, just kept scrolling on his phone. "You're just a guest here." It wasn't shouted, wasn't even angry, just cold, dismissive, like he was reading the weather. I looked up from my plate. My fork hovered in midair, a slice of overcooked chicken dangling from the edge. Jennifer didn't react. She was slicing her food in measured, perfect bites. Emma giggled into her water glass, then looked away when I caught her eye. Nobody said a word. And just like that, it shifted. Not the furniture, not the walls. Me. Something inside me shifted, tilted, cracked just wide enough to let something colder in. It wasn't rage, wasn't heartbreak. Those things require surprise. I wasn't surprised. I was done. That night, after they'd all gone to bed, after the plates were rinsed, the TV clicked off, and Jennifer gave her usual wordless goodnight, I sat alone at the kitchen table. No music, no lights, just the hum of the fridge and the clock over the sink counting down the seconds of my patience. I remember staring at the laminate seams in the table, the one I bought after Emma spilled orange juice on the last one and nobody apologized. There was a mark in the corner, a shallow burn where Alex had set down a curling iron without a towel. It was still there years later, unacknowledged. Like me, I opened my laptop, logged into the rental account, checked the lease terms. The lease was mine, always had been. Jennifer never even asked to be on it. Said it was easier if I handled the paperwork. Back when we were in love and trust came cheap. So I took what was mine. Termination notice. Sent. 30 days. Legally required, but unnecessary. They'd never stay that long after what I was about to do. The next morning, the house was quiet. The usual chaos of cereal boxes and rushing teenagers. Jennifer sat on the edge of the couch scrolling through her phone. I walked past them all. Past Emma's half-eaten toast, past Alex's backpack slumped on the floor like a forgotten burden, and stepped out the front door. I left a piece of paper taped to it. Plain white, printed from my work computer, where I was still respected. It read, Notice of Lease Termination. Effective 30/30. Days from the above date, the current lease agreement for the property will be terminated by the legal leaseholder, Michael H. Please make arrangements accordingly. This notice is final. Michael. I signed it. Not Dad. Not Mike. Not with love. Just my name. The same way you'd sign a check before it disappears into someone else's account. Then I got in my car and drove. No destination. Just forward. I didn't become part of this family overnight. It was years of slow negotiation. Careful steps into rooms that already had ghosts in them. Jennifer and I met at work. She was admin, I was logistics. She was grounded, organized, eyes like polished stone. I fell hard and fast. She told me early on that she had 2 kids. One from the old marriage, one still learning how to be cruel. Her son, Alex, was 15 when I moved in. Tall for his age, moody, with a jaw already clenched from watching too many men leave. Emma was 12, quieter, smarter, easier to love, but harder to keep. Their biological father, Tim, lived 40 miles south. He had remarried, had another kid, but he made appearances. Birthdays, Christmas, the occasional weekend with amusement parks and new electronics. The kind of father you wait for like a delivery, not someone who actually lives the hard days with you. I told myself that didn't matter. That presence would outweigh blood. That showing up, every day, would etch my name into the walls of this house, even if I didn't share their last name. So I showed up. When the toilet backed up, I fixed it. When Emma needed a ride to gymnastics, I drove. When Alex's laptop died 2 weeks before midterms, I found the money to replace it. Not once did I ask for anything back. When Jennifer was sick, I cooked. When she lost her job during the pandemic, I took a second one. I covered the mortgage, the health insurance, Emma's braces, Alex's therapy, which he never thanked me for and barely showed up to. I did it all because I believed it would mean something. I told myself that family wasn't made by blood, but by sacrifice. that I could build something lasting on the bones of another man's failures. I was wrong, because sacrifice without gratitude is just quiet self-destruction. And I was burning, slowly, inside a house that didn't want me. Alex's smirk at dinner wasn't the first crack. It was just the one I finally heard. The real fracture started when his father reappeared. It had been 2 years of relative peace. Passive-aggressive silences, yes, and the usual teenage indifference, but nothing openly hostile. I thought maybe I had earned some ground. Then Tim showed up again, this time with tickets to a concert. A car accessory Alex had wanted for months. A new phone, top of the line, Alex bragged. Suddenly I was the substitute again, the placeholder. Emma stopped hugging me goodnight. Alex stopped coming down for dinner. Jennifer said nothing, just smiled politely across the table like we were acquaintances again. One night, I came home to find a package on the doorstep, addressed to Alex. From Dad. Inside, a drone. Expensive. Flashy. Something I would never have bought. Not because I couldn't, but because I believed in priorities. Alex didn't even tell me. I found the box in the trash. I started noticing things after that. Emma's school photo. The frame had been moved to the mantel, but the note she had once scribbled on the back, "Thank you, Mike," was gone, replaced, or maybe removed. Jennifer didn't say anything when I brought it up. She just said, "They're growing up," as if growing up meant erasing me. And then came the dinner. A regular Thursday. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, green beans from a can. Cooked. As usual. Nobody offered to help. As usual. Alex sat across from me, his shoulders draped in a hoodie from a college he hadn't yet applied to. I asked how his day was. He didn't answer. Jennifer asked if anyone had seen the mail. Alex snorted, looked at me, then back at his plate. "You're just a guest here," he said, like it was the weather forecast. "Mom said you're not our dad." Emma laughed. Jennifer didn't look up. I excused myself. Not angrily. Not loudly. I walked to the bedroom, closed the door, opened the laptop, and started dismantling everything I had built. But that part, that reckoning, comes next. This part ends with the sound of tape peeling off the roll, sticking a white sheet of paper to a red-painted door. My name, my terms, my departure. Let them figure out the rest. First, things were peaceful. Too peaceful. Like the quiet that settles over a house before a storm decides where to break first. The kids didn't protest when I left for work early or came home late. Jennifer barely noticed. Emma stayed buried in her headphones. Alex left dishes in the sink, doors ajar, lights on. They acted like nothing had happened. Like my withdrawal was invisible, maybe even expected. But under that silence was rot. The kind that spreads slow, beneath paint and promises. 2 years of sacrifice. 2 years of showing up, fixing what broke, swallowing the cold glances. 2 years of pretending my place in the house was earned and not loaned. Then he came back. Tim. The biological father. The prodigal ghost. I heard about it from Emma first. She came home on a Saturday with a glittery bracelet and a cup from some overpriced smoothie bar. "Dad got it for me," she said offhandedly, then walked past me like I wasn't even furniture. I asked Jennifer about it, and she said, "He wanted to take them out." I thought it was fine. Fine. That word. Thin as tissue, just as easy to tear through. By the next week, there were texts from Dad, lighting up Alex's phone like a slot machine. Late-night laughter from his room. Car rides that I wasn't part of. Jennifer didn't mention them unless I asked. And when I did, she'd say, "He's trying, Mike. Isn't that what you always said you wanted?" What I wanted. I wanted peace. I wanted a role. I wanted to matter. But what I got was a front-row seat to my own erasure. Still, I said nothing. Not at first. I thought, let him play hero. Let him try. Maybe they'll finally see the difference between a visit and a presence. Between a father by biology and one by backbone. But that was naive. Tim came bearing gifts, not time. Cash, not commitment. And kids, they're drawn to the shine. To the new. To the man who doesn't ask them to clean their rooms or get off their phones or respect the people feeding them. Soon, Alex stopped saying good morning. Emma called me Mike instead of Mikey, like she used to. Jennifer brushed off the change with a casual smile. They're teenagers, she said. This is what they do. No, this is what they do when you let them believe love has no cost. When you let them believe that years of sacrifice can be undone by a weekend at a theme park. One night, I came home to find the living room a disaster. Snack wrappers, soda cans, the TV blasting a volume no one was listening to. Alex was splayed on the couch, feet on the coffee table I had refinished by hand. Could you clean this up? I asked calmly. He didn't even look away from his phone. Then came the line, like it had been practiced. Mom says you're not our dad, so why do you act like one? He said it like he meant it, like it was law, like I'd somehow broken some invisible rule by caring too much. Jennifer was in the kitchen. She heard it. I know she did, but she didn't say a word. That silence was my answer. That night, I didn't just retreat to the bedroom. I went to war, in silence, with precision. I opened every account tied to my name. Bank logins, autopays, insurance portals. I sat with a mug of cold coffee and canceled them one by one, like cutting ropes from a sinking ship. The lease? Terminated, already in motion. Internet? Scheduled for disconnection. Utilities? My name was off them by morning. The kids' phones? I'd been footing the bill for years. Those payments stopped before sunrise. Emma's school lunch fund, her Uber rides to practice gone. Alex's tutoring app, the streaming services he used while ignoring me, frozen. And the big ones? The health insurance. The co-signed bank card. The college savings account I opened because Jennifer said Tim wouldn't. All gone. I didn't leave a note. Not yet. I wanted them to feel it, not read it. The next morning I made 2 more calls. One to the school. I was no longer Alex or Emma's emergency contact. You'll need to update the file, I told the secretary. She sounded surprised. I wasn't. The second call was to my HR department. Remove the dependents, I said. No further explanation needed. Just the click of keys on the other end. By the time the sun came up, I had stripped myself out of that family like shedding an old coat. No more weight. No more warmth either, but that's the price of clarity. When they woke up, they didn't notice. Not right away. Took a day. Then 2. Then Alex's phone buzzed with a failed payment. Emma couldn't stream her show. Jennifer asked why the Wi-Fi was out. I told her to call the provider, they'd explain. She stared at me, eyebrows knitting together. Did something happen? I shrugged. I'm just a guest here, remember? That was the moment she realized the house was changing. That her safety net had a heartbeat, and it had stopped beating. A week passed. Boxes appeared in corners. Jennifer tried to keep things normal, pancakes, Sunday movies, half-hearted smiles. But it all rang hollow. Alex barely spoke. Emma asked where the money on her card went. Jennifer gave her the answer with a silence that spoke louder than anything I could have said. I wasn't angry. I wasn't cruel. I was methodical. Let the man they called real dad carry them now. Let him field the late-night calls. Let him pay the dentist, the winter coats, the school field trips. Let him earn the title they threw in my face like it was sacred. Because I wasn't their father, they said. And I believed them. I moved into a 1-bedroom across town. Quiet building. No kids. Just space. Space to think. To breathe. To remember who I was before I became an invisible man feeding other people's dreams. Jennifer sent a message 2 days later. Just a line. We need to talk. I didn't reply. Because when someone tells you you're nothing, the conversation ends. And when a man decides he's done bleeding, he doesn't ask permission to heal. It began with the mail. Not dramatic. Not loud. Just thick envelopes. Past due notices. College forms. Bills with my name conspicuously missing. I had forwarded my address change to the landlord. Jennifer hadn't. So the letters kept coming to the old place, piling up like snowdrifts. I imagine she let them sit for days before opening the first one. I imagine her eyes widening as she read the numbers. The tuition invoice would have been the first red flag. Alex had just started community college, riding the wave of a graduation I paid for. Cap, gown, catered dinner, all on me. He hadn't even said thank you. The college form wouldn't have made sense at first. No record of payment. No financial aid disbursed. Because the FAFSA had me listed as the supporting adult. Without my income, Alex wasn't eligible. Without my income, he was just another kid from a fractured household trying to pretend 2 Christmases meant stability. Then the emails started. Not to me, they knew better. They went to Jennifer. Dear Ms. L. This is a courtesy notice regarding the current tuition balance for the fall semester. As of this date, no payments have been recorded. Please be advised that late fees will apply if not resolved within the next 7 days. 7 days. That's how long it took before Jennifer called me. First time in weeks. I let it ring. 5 times. Then 6. She didn't leave a voicemail. But 2 minutes later, a text lit up the screen. Can we talk? It's about the kids. Please. I stared at it. Thought about how many times I had said the same words. Pleaded for a voice. A seat at the table. A fraction of understanding. Now it was her turn. But I didn't reply. Because the bill was coming due. Not the money. The other kind. The debt no one tracks on paper. Respect. Loyalty. Presence. All the things they thought were free. 2 days later, Alex showed up at my door. Unannounced. Uninvited. I didn't buzz him in. I live on the 3rd floor, walk up only. So he had to climb those steps in silence, probably rehearsing something noble. Something that would spin him into the victim and me into the villain. I didn't say a word when I opened the door. He looked smaller. The arrogance was gone. Or hidden. His backpack sagged. Hoodie inside out. Eyes red. Maybe from sleepless nights, maybe from having to see the man who used to keep the lights on. Can I come in? He asked. I leaned against the frame. Why? He blinked. I want to talk. I nodded once, stepped aside. He didn't sit. Just stood there, shifting his weight, eyes scanning the Spartan furniture. No family photos. No clutter. Just me, a small desk, and silence. I got a letter from the school, he started. They're saying I can't register for next semester unless the balance is paid. Sounds right, I said. He swallowed. And my dad? He can't help. He said he's between jobs. Of course he was. He said you used to handle this stuff, Alex added. Used to, I echoed. Then he said it, the line I had been waiting for. I didn't know how much you did. I didn't get it before. I do now. I wanted to believe him, but his eyes weren't pleading. They were calculating. He was here for money, not forgiveness. He continued, I messed up. I shouldn't have said what I said. You didn't deserve that. I stayed quiet. Let the words hover. Let him feel their weight. Then I asked, why are you really here, Alex? He looked confused. Or pretended to. I told you. I want to fix things. I nodded. Then you'll understand when I say no. His mouth opened. Closed. That same teenage indignation threatening to rise again. I said something cruel, he admitted. But I didn't mean it. You didn't mean it, I repeated. But you said it. And you meant it enough to smirk when you did. He shifted again. I was angry. So was I said. Silence. He looked around again, maybe searching for a picture of us. A photo that proved I once believed in him. There was none. I had scrubbed this apartment clean. No reminders. No ghosts. I just need help with this one thing. He tried again. Just the semester. I'll figure out the rest. I leaned in. Let me tell you what I needed, Alex. I needed a partner in that house. I needed a mother who defended me. I needed children who didn't weaponize my love just because it was convenient. I needed respect. Not just when the bills were paid, but always. He didn't respond, so I continued. You want me to pay for a future you're building on a lie. You say I'm not your father except when the check is due. And now you're here not because you respect me, but because the system finally said no. That's not fair, he muttered. Neither was 16 years of being invisible. He looked at the floor. I let him stand there. Let the silence stretch until it hurt. Then I said, "You wanted him. The real dad. You got him. Now let him carry you." He nodded. Once. A shallow, shameful nod. Then he turned and walked out. Didn't slam the door. Didn't say goodbye. Just left. The next call came from the school. Not to me. To Jennifer. They reached out about alternative payment plans. I knew because she finally emailed me. "I'm sorry. For everything. I didn't see it until now. The kids need help. Alex is drowning." She asked if I could just cover this semester. One more term. After that, we'll figure it out. I read the email 3 times. Then I deleted it. Let them figure it out. Let them ask the man who didn't show up to parent-teacher conferences, who didn't cover the dentist bills, who didn't pick up cold medicine at midnight or drive through storms to pick up a forgotten project from school. Let him shoulder the debt. Because me, I had paid enough. They say time heals. But time does nothing if no one learns. And in that house, learning came too late. Months passed. Winter came early that year, biting, gray, unapologetic. Just like them. I watched the frost creep over my new apartment windows. Listened to the radiator hum through the silence. No footsteps above me. No slammed doors. Just the weightless peace of being alone. Sometimes that silence echoed too loud. But it was honest. Jennifer didn't reach out again after the last message I ignored. Not for weeks. Not for holidays. Not even for Emma's birthday, which used to be my favorite day of the year. I bought her first real bicycle. The pink one with white streamers she called Princess Wheels. She once said I was her hero. Now I was gone. I didn't hear from Alex either. I figured he was flailing. Dropped classes, mounting debt, a future unraveling thread by thread. I checked once, not out of softness, just curiosity. His name still showed on the college portal under account holds. No transcript, no registration, just a balance past due and no record of payment. I closed the tab. A month later, I got the message. It wasn't dramatic. No phone call, no apology wrapped in tears. Just a text. "You were the real one. We were idiots. I'm sorry." Simple. Hollow. Because it came too late. You don't burn down a bridge and then cry about the distance. I stared at the screen for a long time. Couldn't tell if I felt satisfaction or grief. Maybe both. Or maybe nothing. That was the problem. They drained me so thoroughly, there was nothing left to react with. I didn't reply. Not because I wanted revenge, but because replies are reserved for people who still live in your heart. And mine was empty. I looked around my apartment. Clean lines, neutral walls, a kitchen that stayed clean because no one came through it ungrateful. I had grown used to the stillness, to the fact that nobody would ever again ask me to fund a life that refused to recognize me. There's a lesson in all this, one I wish I had learned sooner. Love without respect is a trap. You tell yourself that giving more will eventually earn you something, that presence can buy you family, that years of invisible labor will one day be tallied, honored, returned. But it won't, because when people grow used to your sacrifice, they stop seeing it as a gift. They start seeing it as a fact of life. And then they resent you for reminding them it costs something. I gave 16 years of my life to that family. Not just money, though there was plenty of that. I gave time, tension, effort. I painted their rooms, repaired their sinks, taught Alex to drive, nursed Emma through 3 fevers and a broken arm, sat at that dinner table through years of eye rolls and silence, believing one day it would change. Didn't. And when I finally stopped giving, they didn't reflect. They panicked, because the well had dried up, and nobody had taught them how to dig their own. Now Alex knows what it means to need something and not be entitled to it. Now Jennifer knows that silence is a choice, and so is walking away from someone who made your burdens his own. Now Emma knows that heroes don't wait forever for applause. They leave when they've been forgotten too long. Sometimes I wonder what that house is like now. Maybe they moved. Maybe Jennifer's friend offered her a spare room. Maybe Alex sleeps on a couch, and Emma walks to school in the cold. Maybe the man they called Dad answered the phone, or maybe he let it ring and went back to sleep. I don't know, and I don't care. because there's a kind of power in absence. The kind that teaches louder than presence ever could. When you're gone, people finally have to sit with the weight of your effort. And sometimes, if you're lucky, they finally realize what it cost. But realization doesn't equal redemption. Regret doesn't rebuild a home. Sometimes it just echoes through the empty halls. I thought I was building a legacy in that house. But all I did was pour myself into a container that was never meant to hold me. And now I ask you, was I wrong? Was I cruel to walk away from a family I bled for? Was it heartless to cancel the payments, pull my name off the paperwork, and leave them with only the choices they made? Or was it the only honest thing left to do? Tell me, would you have endured it? Or would you have left, too, and taken everything you built with you?